Okay, welcome back to the channel, and today we are going from Cape Town all the way up to Johannesburg in South Africa. This is a continent I've sort of neglected in the flight sim videos, but let's have some fun with this. And of course we're in the Concorde as well, so yeah, let's get going. Right, so here we are on the runway, full power, and yeah, it said back there, so this bit going to be about 2 hours 45 minutes. You know, we know that's not true. I mean, you can see by the video size, it's probably not going to be that. Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be under half an hour maybe. You know, you've seen the way I fly in these, pretty erratic, ignores all the rules of aviation. But we're just having fun. It's a sim. It's a Concorde mod. So yeah, let's get going. I'm going to tell you a humorous story a little bit later as well, but it was actually about my 3 weeks working in the aviation industry. Just let's get on course first. I spent my guts on that one. I think I've gone totally the wrong way as well. Very nice. Might just need a little left turn. Doubt this would have happened on the real Concorde, so don't worry about that. Let's put the map on as well. Get where we go. It's the wrong one. Like that. Yeah, and I've started to do subscriber request videos, and of course most are coming from Flight Sim. And you see, we did the last video we did. It was a top 5 rundown of my the best aircraft, like the modded. You can sort of mod into the sim. Yes, that was Jacko's had recommended that one, so big thank you to him. And there's another one that was recommended today. Sorry fella, I forgot your name. But yeah, he said, can we go from, I think it was Cleveland, Ohio down to Houston, Texas, and that'll be in the Concorde as well. So that's what I'm looking into. So if you sit tight, then I'll get that made at some point, hopefully sooner rather than later. It's yeah, if you want to submit, yeah, feel free to submit in the comments any ideas you've got, places you want me to fly, etc. Any videos you're making. I generally do them if they're yeah, if I feel it's doable. So yeah, but so you've got to be a subscriber, so make sure you hit that button just down there in the bottom right as well. So yeah, what can we say? Like glorious South Africa. Somewhere I've actually always wanted to go. I mean, it just looks, I mean, you can see it up here. It looks pretty. It's pretty glorious. You go to towns and everything. I mean, it's a big ass country, South Africa. And somewhere, yeah, I've always wanted to visit. It was at the point I actually looked quite likely to go there, but it never actually happened. I don't know why. I probably just went to Dubai instead. But yeah, just want to get back on that line. We'll bring it left a bit. Yeah. I was hoping we'd see some of the sort of animals that they incorporate in this game, because you know, you fly somewhere, some place in Kenya and other places that do sort of safaris. You can see some of the wildlife roaming around. You can see elephants, giraffes, things like that. And they've got a few big cats as well. But I think flying this high, probably in a plane at this speed, probably not. Probably won't see any today, but you never know. So just keep your eyes peeled. Of course, we've got a gorgeous Air France livery. I think this was the best one on the Concorde. But yeah, I did like the Pepsi one as well when they sponsored it. Yeah, Air France definitely the best. BA, we won't go there. You know, my followed the channel long enough. You know we don't do BA here. Unless they wanted to offer me a proper pilot scholarship, then we would definitely do BA here. But yeah, that's very unlikely at the moment. Or ever. Unless they're watching. Who knows? Yeah, just zoom in. This is, yeah, I won't ruin it for you, but this was on the mod rundown video as well. This is, yeah, it's my favourite mod. Come on, look how many videos are on the channel. Now, many of you love watching it. The official version hopefully being released soon, sooner rather than later. So yeah, we can get our teeth stuck into that and do many more flights. I'm thinking with that one is I wonder if that's going to be faster than this one. Or would that be... Because I mean this is pretty accurate compared to Concorde's actual speeds and how it flew. I wonder if we actually would see that go maybe a bit faster or things like that. And I know you can lower the nose and things. You should see the afterburners in effect as well apparently on the new one. So they brought out, I think there's another one, like the independent modders actually brought out like the red arrows. I think the planes, the T4 Hawk or T1 Hawk, something like that. So you can, sorry if you heard that. Yeah, you can actually fly as the red arrows. You can deploy the colours and things like that in it. So you can like red, white, blue. But you can only fly as one. I mean, maybe one day they'll introduce it online and stuff like that. But it's £32. I mean, if you want to buy that, 32 quid's a lot for anyone, whether you got it or not. Just for something that's like basically a cartoon or just something usable in the game, some DLC. And for me, I just think that's a lot of money. If it was 10 quid, I mean, I know I spent a few quid on iRacing over the few months I've been playing it, or driving it, sorry. But yeah, but it's just that's just quite a lot of money. I mean, I know they've worked hard on it and a lot's got into it, but £32. I mean, I know people will pay it as well, and they have been paying it. But yeah, maybe at some point if it comes down or something, we'll definitely look at that. Because I know people will be quite keen to see that in action. But yeah, we're looking for a lot of the planes that I'm wanting to see officially made through Flight Sim. I want to see a DC-10 or 11, which is already on there. One of them, I think it's a DC-10. They got the or MD, not DC. Sorry, this is the MD 1011. But yeah, that's on there with the Flying Eye Hospital, but you can't actually fly it yet. I'm just hoping that at some point very soon that they actually introduce that, because that's one of my all-time favourite aircraft. Definitely, for that I might consider paying £32. We'll see. The Concorde, I think I'll have to pay whatever. I think that's 50. I think I'd probably pay it, even though we have this one. But the real one, I think that's going to be incredible when that comes out. You see like the afterburners in full effect and everything like that. Just amazing. Yeah, what else do I want to see, mate? The A380. I mean, I've seen good A380 mods out there. The one that I displayed in the other video, it was, yeah, it wasn't. That wasn't the best one. I mean, it was obviously converted. And, you know, the cockpit looked alright inside, but like when you looked from the outside, it just wasn't. It just didn't look to a good standard. I thought anyway. But now, what I wanted with that is one I used before, and it had the Emirates livery, of course, and you could see all the different views from the engine and everything. I mean, it looked absolutely sublime. I mean, the nose, a lot of people said, was a bit off from the real A380. It looked a bit, it was a bit different, let's say. It wasn't as round, but you know, for me, it was fine. It worked. Just trimmed down a bit. Get that extra speed. I'm flying low now. If you're gonna spot any wildlife, probably be here. Making up some serious ground here. Look at this thing go. Unbelievable. It is you know, quite an engineering masterpiece, the Concorde. I saw it land a few times, I always say. Never went on it, and a lot of people did, loved it. Yeah, you just think it, I mean, if those crashes, and had a couple of incidents, but I think that one major crash from Charles de Gaulle, if that never happened, would it have lasted longer? I don't know. is the answer to that. I mean, especially now. I mean, if they're phasing things out like the 747 and the A380s, you know, I doubt this probably would have survived past. When did it go out? Was it 2003? I think it went out. 2, something like that. I just don't think it would have. Yeah, survived past 05 or 06. Yeah, it was incredible. I always thought they should have brought it back. Maybe it's like a sort of a kind of a private charter thing. So if you had the money, you could run something like one flight a month for like novelty, and they could charge however much they wanted, because you'd get enthusiasts pay for that. Definitely. You look at how cheap it was, and compared to, it was like £3,000 for return to LA, and now you wouldn't get much change from maybe 10 grand, 10,000 English. So I have to keep translating the currencies, because I know a lot of our viewers are from America, and that's where. So yeah, I'd say quids or pounds. You know, I'll try and translate that into dollars, but my maths isn't the best. Well, I'm not a real pilot. So there we go. It's a story for another day. So yeah, the humorous sort of story, and it was of my. We had a friend of the channel. We'll call him Schmeichel for the purpose of this, like the dog from Coronation Street, or the famous goalkeeper. And he said to me the other day, he goes, "Why is there not much humour on the channel? Why do you never sort of crack a joke?" And it's and all I could sort of think of was it's more sort of serious stuff. You know, how am I going to crack a joke about a plane or a racing car? Because they're quite serious things. So I was just thinking, yeah, how can I maybe tell the odd funny story? And the obvious one would be probably of my 3 weeks, if you can call them that, working within the aviation industry. And it was literally 3 weeks, and I'm amazed I got that far. So what happened, if we transport ourselves back to, say, 2016, I think it was, and there was an airline, low-cost airline in Britain, and they went by the name of Monarch. And they, yeah, I mean, I applied to be cabin crew for some reason. I don't know why. It was a stupid move, but I thought, yeah, because I didn't have a great deal of aviation knowledge then, so I thought, yeah, maybe I'll get to get a few night stops in, get to go back to Florida or go to America or see the Middle East, stuff like that. No, that's not what happened. So basically, Monarch, for people who don't know, and for everyone watching in America, if you've never heard of them, they were pretty much a low-cost airline. Their competitors were EasyJet, Ryanair, XL, Thomas Cook, when they were both going, people like that. And I thought it'd be a great idea to leave a job I quite liked and just decide to come and be cabin crew. And what was then, I think it was like a 6-month contract or something. It was pathetic. And so I went up there, went for the interview at Gatwick, somehow got the job. I mean, I'm hardly the most employable guy for anyone, and I blagged my way in there. And yeah, and then I began a few weeks later my cabin crew training. And with the Monarch, as said, as they no longer went to Florida. They did once upon a time, because they had things like, did they have A330s, stuff like that? A321s. They used to have like longer haul aircraft, which basically, yeah, I mean they sold when they weren't making the money on them, so they cut it down, and then they did shitty European destinations, basically, places that, yeah, I mean I wouldn't be seen dead in, but that's my opinion. If you like going to certain places in Europe, fine, that's for you, that's your choice, great, have lots of fun. They're not for me. And anyway, basically what happened, so I got there, and I was pretty much the only bloke there in the group of all women. And yeah, we began our training, and what we were told was, you can, when you go to a place, you'd be doing 18-hour days basically. So you say went from here to, you'd be doing up to, like, I think about 4, you'd be doing 4 journeys up to in a day. So you could be going from, say, to Gatwick, and then you got to go up to Scotland, then you go to Portugal, and then you go back, and stuff like that is really complex. But yeah, I mean, you're doing 18-hour days doing that. Sorry, that I knew instantly. I thought, I'm not gonna last to this. I knew when the uniform didn't fit, for fuck's sake. I mean, the trousers were so long, and I mean, I was a big fat lad back then, but they didn't sort of fit around the waist either. I mean, they were well too baggy. I mean, even if you would stretch the belt, I had to drill another hole in it. I mean, the trousers were still falling down, and they were way too long. So this was obviously not a good start. I'm thinking, oh, fuck's sake. You know, this isn't happening. I left I wouldn't say it was a comfortable job. I mean, the money was dog shit. But you'd left a job that you liked to go and... So you weren't going to go to Florida. You weren't going to go shaking hands with Mickey Mouse. You weren't going to, the Middle East. Forget it. You were you're doing shuttle runs to Europe all day. And that will be your life from then on. Fucking hell. And yeah, so the first week is it's kind of classroom based. You just sort of, you sat there, you learned about the job and whatever, and it was, I thought, okay, maybe just give it a week. I like the classroom sort of feel of things, because you got the weekends off, so I go down to the pub 3 days, or what, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever. And then you work in the week, and then you're back. Like, I was commuting from my house in Polegate to Gatwick, and yeah, I mean, it's about 45 minutes on a train. But yeah, so where were we? Yeah, so we and then you did lots of classroom based activities. You got to know people, and I was the only bloke, and I kind of wanted out already. But yeah, I got sort of into it, and that you did, like, I say this about a cabin crew, you learn first aid, you learn how to do CPR and stuff, which is excellent. I'm not going to knock that at all. And always respect your cabin crew when you're on a flight. Be nice to them, because the money's not great. And a lot of them are young, they're in it for the benefits and to see places. So yeah, just respect them, because they've been through training. They know what they're doing, and you're in capable hands. If something were to go wrong, and they teach you how to evacuate and all stuff like this. So later on in the week, you have to do the whole thing where this is the first week still. You have to do the whole thing, like, with the your exits are here, here, and here. Oh fuck! So I haven't got I couldn't master it at all. I was dog shit. And you have to. So I think you pointed out the exits when the announcement come on over the thing. They didn't have, because it was a proper shitty low cost airline. I mean, this was the lowest of the low, right? And they didn't have BA or Emirates. They have the safety video, and it's narrated kind of into the cabin. Somebody has to read it out over a tannoy, and then they're the narrator, and you kind of go along. So this is your life jacket, and you got to pretend to blow it up, and you got to get the seatbelt and then buckle it and all this shit. I just did not have a clue. And it was so fucking embarrassing. It's just absolutely cringeworthy for me, anyway. I respect that it's done, of course, but for myself, I just did not fucking want to be there. And so we got into the second week, and yeah, the second week wasn't too bad. It was you're kind of learning about the company and how it sort of functioned, I guess. And it once had like a travel agency with it at the time, I think. And then from there, it's that went under. Well, it didn't go under. I think they sold it, because I mean they were losing money hand over fist. So yeah, you learnt that, and you're making posters and learning how to pour teas and coffees and bollocks like that. Oh, fuck's sake! I've barely made a cup of tea in my life. I don't drink that. So you did all that, and yeah, I was enjoying it. A lot of the women on the course, I mean, they were pretty over dramatic about things, and I just, yeah, I cannot say I was a fan. No, I didn't really want out because I didn't sort of think of that then. But yeah, it was one of the instructors. She was not so nice. There was one guy who was actually he was an ex-paramedic. I think he was like the sort of teacher, and he was like the first aid and that. He was a genuine guy, and I'm not going to mention names of people here because I don't want to get sued or anything. But yeah, he was a stand-up bloke, and yeah, I know when they went under, you know, a lot of people sort of weren't happy and didn't have jobs to go to. I imagine he did. He was a smart guy, so fair play to him. And yeah, and I think towards the kind of end of that sort of second week, was it the... Yeah, because I did about 3 and a bit weeks. At the end of the... I think it was the end of the third week, we got to go on an A320, I think. I mean, it was old. I mean, this plane must have been 20 years old back then. You know, whether they were still... Well, they must have still been flying them towards the end. It wasn't like the A320 Neo or any of the new stuff. This was old. This was old. And you had to get up there in the cabin. And the plane's fucking grounded, by the way. But you had to get up there, you had to do a demonstration and twirl in and fucking exit to here and here and whatever. So for me it was like kind of humiliating, and I was failing like the tests, like you get to do tests on what you'd learn and all that stuff, and I just did not have a clue, and so I kept failing all this stuff. And there's a few others that were kind of being sort of held back, but yeah. And then what happened? So at the end of the third week, you have to basically you go to Luton, and whilst in Luton, that's where their headquarters was. You went to Luton Airport, and while there, there was like a sort of simulator of the plane, but obviously it didn't move or nothing. It was just like, I think it filled with smoke at one point or something like that. It was really. It wasn't like the ones you see on telly at the big airlines. I mean, this was half-assed sort of stuff. And you went in there, and then whilst the other people served you teas, coffees, you learned how to cook lunch on the plane. You served your other classmates lunch. And it was a god-awful experience, to be honest. And they made us do it over bloody Easter. Well, there's no fucker there. Do you know what I mean? So we're dicking around an empty building. And... it was, yeah, and they taught you they taught you a couple of things you had to do. You had to learn how to wrap a cloth around like a champagne bottle. Sorry, if you're flying Monarch, why are you drinking champagne? People who flew Monarch did not drink champagne. They were not that sort of people. Okay? Your Virgins, your BAs, your Emirates, your Qantas, Etihad, they're your champagne people. If it's a special occasion, you don't fly Monarch. Sorry, you don't. Not if you're that sort of clientele. I was thinking, who the fuck is ordering champagne on a Monarch flight? I was just thinking, no one's doing this. And because you had to think of all the low-cost airlines, you probably know they all sort of, yeah, I mean, you have to buy this stuff on board. It's not like BA or a long-haul flight with Emirates, you know, it's all thrown in. If you want a can of Coke, you have it. It's free, you paid for it. You have to buy it. A can of Red Bull, and there was like £3 or something. And, yeah, that was that. That was humiliating. And you had to also make like a, you had to make like for some reason, you had to make a swan out of a towel, like, you know, in some hotels you get. And I just thought, why? These people don't want this. They want to get to Malaga, or they want to get to somewhere in Spain. That's what they want to do. They don't want sort of dicking about. And yeah, I failed at that as well. I failed the safety demo. Yeah, it just wasn't a good few sort of days there. And it put us in this Holiday Inn, and it was poor. It was a poor experience from start to finish. I think on the Monday or the Tuesday. I might have lasted another week even. I don't know. It's a long way. It's a long time ago. And yeah, we got back and I failed this test, and they sent me home. And a part of me was just like, oh, thank fuck for that. Thank God that's over. And yeah, I mean, some bullshit happened like midweek. They kept dragging me up there. I mean, that's like 45 minutes an hour from my house. And I mean, they didn't have a clue about HR and things. And they, yeah, and then eventually on the Friday, after going up there every day for meetings, they sacked us. And I was like, you know what? I've never been more relieved in my life. And yeah, I'm glad they did. Because yeah, it was awful. And then it was probably bang on a year later that they actually went under. Now, I don't want anyone to lose their job. I think that's horrific. But you can kind of see why. I mean, they were never EasyJet stand. They probably weren't even Ryanair, to be honest. They never had that sort of competitive edge that the others did. And I mean, yeah, I mean they were too expensive for low cost, really. But yeah, we got it turned into a resignation in the end. But I'm just so glad I was so glad I was out of there. And yeah, that's the story. I mean, I hope it made you laugh. It was a fucking god awful experience, if you ask me. But yeah, don't think I'm against cabin crew or anything like that. I mean, they do an absolutely fantastic job, and the training they go through is yeah, I mean, it's rigorous. They have to do a lot more than what I did. I think it went on for another 5 weeks or something after I left. Not 5 weeks. It was maybe like another 2 or 3 after I left, and they'd do the thing where you've probably seen them go in the pool, and you know, it's like simulating a real plane crash, a real water ditch, and you learn bits and pieces, I guess, from that experience. But as I always say, life's about learning, and yeah, I mean, I learned some things. I learned I would never go near being cabin crew again. But I wouldn't be a pilot, as I've said. But that's more technical. That's not folding cloths or making swans out of towels. You know, that's for me. That's where I want it to be, right up front. So yeah, okay, right. As I've rattled on now, we're heading into Johannesburg. I'll start to reduce that throttle. Still think by any other aircraft standard, it's still way too fast. Bringing the gear down. I hope you enjoyed my story. I'll try and tell more of my many humorous endeavours that I've seen and been through throughout my existence. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that one, Schmeichel. If you were listening, if you stood awake for the whole 20 minutes or whatever that went on for. And I'll try and bring us down here in Johannesburg. So it looks like quite a long runway here, actually. And there's our spot. So I do apologise for the lag. This ain't too fast. It's Concorde, mate. What do you expect? Okay. 03 left. I think this is us. 03 left, that's us. Bit away from the spot. Oh no, we're done. Okay, thanks so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe.